Mwasivye mutia habari zenyu. How are you? Good morning, good night, whatever time you are listening. This is your host, Edith Nyanga, and welcome to another episode of Voices of Dembe. Hello, guys. I am back. I know it's been, I think, 3 months. It's been a long time since I have grabbed my microphone and decided to record an episode of Voices of Dembe. This is season 3, and this is our newest season and our better season. And this is the season that I'm introducing the project that I've been working on, our nonprofit. And I'm so excited to this. This has like the key or the place in my heart. This is something that I just decided I've always wanted to do this. I've always wanted to help people, but I didn't know in what way. I didn't know what my calling was. And I prayed to God to show me a sign. And some of you know I'm a Christian. For the new listeners, I am a big religious Christian, even though I don't go to church. If you listen to the old episodes, I'm still a believer. So I prayed for a sign, and God sent a sign through my dad, who told me to go and talk to people about mental health in Uganda because it's something that I deal with personally. And I was like, yes, let me do this. So I was in Uganda for 2 weeks, which I am going to share my story. And I did get to talk to kids about mental health. And that's how I decided to start Voices of Dembe. I also do have a founder. His name is Andrew Sparling. If you've been following us on Facebook, you will see that I wrote a little brief explaining about ourselves and who we are and what we're doing, which we're gonna go get more into that later. I am talking like a news anchor instead of like a podcaster. I used to have the podcaster soothing voice like, hey guys, but now it's changed into more of a newscaster voice. And I don't know why. I'm trying to be more positive and open. I don't want to be down like the last episode did. It really did tear me down. But anyways, I'm back, and this time I can't leave you guys because I am making a commitment to this nonprofit, and this is not about me anymore. It did start about me, and now it's about changing the world and changing the whole of Africa, hopefully, eventually at some point. But we're starting with one school at a time. So as some of you old listeners know, first of all, let me just welcome the new listeners. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. And the old listeners, thank you for staying with me and being patient and staying up to date and sending me messages, texting, worrying about me, and, you know, me messaging you back and forth. And also, shout out to Andrew for wanting to start this with me. Shout out to my friends that have stayed with me. Well, actually, I only have one friend. Shout out to my therapist that's been there with me through my whole trip and through my whole meltdowns. Anyways, so I started Voices of Dembe, and I called it Uganda to America to tell my story of how I moved from America, plus the challenges that I had faced. This podcast inspired me to want to hear other people's stories and try to help them as much as I can. The one that really did inspire me was Adele Onyango's Legally Clueless and Vanessa Mday's Deep Dive. Deep Dive inspired me to start the podcast by Vanessa. That one inspired me to start the podcast itself. But Adele Onyango's Legally Clueless inspired me to want to listen to more people's stories and share them. She mostly focuses on abuse in women, and she has a book out, which I've forgotten the title. I should have written notes, but I will try to put the link in my bio. She has a book out now that she is published, and go check it out. I need to buy one and read it. But you listen to so many people's stories, and it's very touching. You listen about abuse, about financial and emotional abuse. There's a lot of different type of mental health or mental issues that people struggle with that I've also shared in my podcast, not just about myself, but I've shared types of them. I also got to inspire people like the Ugandan Boy Talk Show by Bonnie Kibuki. I think I'm butchering his name. I always butcher his name. But he started his own podcast now, and it is, guys, go listen to it. It's amazing. And he's always pushing me to finish mine, and I'm always like, no, I am having a meltdown. You know, if you're dealing with depression, you understand what that is like. Sadly, I couldn't finish my last episode, which I just said, the episode of season 2, because it was rough for me to record it. It took so much out of me, and I could not continue because I kept hearing my abuser's name right after I had told the story. And the last straw for me was when I heard I don't want to put too much. I don't want to say too much because my parents listen to this and family members listen to this, and I don't want to name the person yet. I am not ready for that step because I feel like there is nothing that can be done now. It's late. I am already almost 22, and I was groomed. It happened, and I don't really. The only thing that could happen is I'm gonna ruin his life by mentioning his name, and I tend to be more. What's the word I'm looking for? My heart tends to lean more towards these people, and I shouldn't be leaning towards bad people. They should be punished. But eventually his name will be out because I got drunk, TMI. I got drunk and told his name to one of my sisters. So one person does know his name. And I told her not to tell anyone because that's my story. But if his name does slip up, oops, my bad. You deserve your life to be destroyed. But you know what? I shouldn't be ranting about that. Anyway, so I'm better now. And I did I planned a trip a long time ago before I aired that episode and before I even talked in that episode to go to Uganda for 2 weeks. And my dad did tell me I should find a school to talk to about mental health and help the students and maybe share their stories with you and see if I can help them. And it would also help me too. So, you know, like you never know by doing this, you could make connections with these kids, and which I did that. I made connections with them. I cried with them. Their stories were hard. They were heartbreaking. I recorded most of their stories, which I will be sharing in future episodes, and we will be crying together because I gotta re-listen to these stories and repost and edit them and post them, and this, I don't even know. Most of these stories were sad because these kids, they talked about how much they love school. If you don't know this, in Africa, you have to pay to go to school. You have to, school is not free. You have to buy your own school supplies, which is everywhere. But these kids talked about how they felt hopeless. You will get a chance to listen to some of their stories and just break down into tears like I did with them. They lived by themselves. Some of them were homeless and they only had school to hold them down. Some of them work to pay to go to high school, not college. See, college is a different story. It's a little bit more flexible. But they're paying to go to high school, and that should be a weight on their parents. But some of their parents are alcoholics. Some of their parents are abusive, and they don't feel safe at home. They don't feel safe in school. I had a case over there that's being dealt with right now. That was my first case that I did with Voices of Dembe. And I told them I wanted that person gone. I don't want to hear about that person, or I am taking it to the board. And it was dealt with. So that's what Voices of Dembe is doing. It's dealing to protect these kids and also make them feel a little bit more safer in school. And I don't know how to do it at home yet, but we are planning on building a center where these kids can come in and do activities, and we can teach them how to for the future, teach them about the future and not just focus on, you're in high school, learn this. Help them with their homework, teach them art, music, how to make things and sell things, and just important life skills that, you know, they might need in case they don't end up finishing school. So, what does a nonprofit do? Well, a nonprofit asks for donations. So we will be setting up the donations once we have finished our registration to the nonprofit. And also I'm going to be working with a church. Once I get that address, I will put that address in our Facebook and Instagram, where you guys can send us some school supplies if you're willing to set up school supplies like backpacks, pens, pencils, calculators, anything that can help. Most of these kids also, like I mentioned, they're struggling to pay for school fees and they need money for school fees. So that's where the donations will be going, and the donations will be going to the center. We will also be making merchandise soon, like our shirts, Voices of Dembe, and bracelets that have Voices of Dembe. If you have any more questions about what I am trying to do, if I'm not clear about it on the podcast or on our Facebook, you can find us at voicesofdembe@gmail.com, or on Facebook and Instagram at Voices of Dembe, and we will also be posting this on YouTube. I'm stressing this out because we are going to be on YouTube, which will be easier for my Ugandan listeners to find us. I would like to go back to Uganda by next term, which is in November, or maybe in January, to help the 8 kids that really needed it the most. Some of these kids were actually, some of them were sick too, and they don't have money to go get treatment, which, let me tell you, financial is part of mental health. If you listen to, I think it's in season 2, I don't remember which episode exactly, that episode names things that cause a lot of things will cause mental health issues. In African countries it's worse, and COVID caused a lot of people were killing themselves not knowing why. People were killing their family members not knowing why, because we don't have names set with this. Everyone just thinks they're crazy, or they have been bewitched, which that's part of witchcraft. That's what they believe, but that's not true. That's not what happened. It's just we don't know what's happening, and we need to be educated, because right now we are just not really educated. It's a little bit opening up, but Voices of Dembe wants to help us be more open. Anyways, thank you so much, and welcome back to Voices of Dembe season 3, new and improved. This is gonna be my favorite season because I'm starting my project. I cannot wait to make a change in my country. So yeah, on my 2-week trip, guys, I'm reading my notes, and let me tell you, if you've heard my other episodes, you know that I cannot read. Like, I just can't read even my own notes. But anyway, like I mentioned earlier, I went on my 2-week trip. Me and Andrew went on TV. He was on one show, and then I was on another show by myself, and we talked about mental health. We will be posting that show very soon. I keep on posting on Facebook that we're gonna post it soon, and we're not posting, but I promise we will be posting it soon so that you guys can see what we talked about and how we introduced Voices of Dembe. And as I mentioned, mental health is something that I personally struggle with, and it's close to my heart. To my heart. Y'all, I'm telling you, I cannot read. But my last show that I did in Uganda, I mentioned that I didn't want people to go through what I went through. And I also mentioned that I am incapable to feel love. What do I mean? I love people, okay? But I am incapable to make a connection with people. You know, I'm even lying to you. I don't like people, but no one likes people. But what I'm trying to say is I'm incapable to feel like a romantic type of love with someone or connect. Even friendships, it's hard for me to do that, and I don't want anyone to go through something that I have. This is something human should never feel. I do not want a human to deal with this because it's eating me up. I don't understand why I can't feel. Like, if somebody just leaves me, I'm like, okay, bye. Like, what am I supposed to do? And it's not okay. It's not good, but I am trying to work on that. I am seeing a therapist, so I'm not just doing this without getting help by myself. I'm getting help while I'm helping other people, okay? Because that's what we gotta do. We gotta help ourselves too. We're not gonna be selfish. So, don't get me wrong. I love to love. I like to be loved. But I'm trying to learn how to do it, because with this generation, it's very hard to know who is real and who is not real. Everyone has just decided they're all depressed and they just want to play games with their heart. Like, come on, you know? So, anyway. It's okay to be alone, y'all, okay? We will find that special someone someday. I'm like ranting about my love life and my situations, but all I'm saying is one day maybe I will open up and let somebody love me and I love them too. But as in for now, it's just hard for me to do that because of what I struggle with. And like I said, I don't want anyone to deal with that or feel that way. And that is why I started Voices of Dembe. Anyway, that's all the introduction for this week. Next week, I will be sharing a story by a girl, and it's a very, very touching, sad story. But this girl has inspired me to want to do more. Her story, it's not triggering. I will be warning you if some of the stories are trigger warning, but this one is just a very, very lovely story by this girl. And just have your napkins prepared for next week. And also, stay tuned for more. And thank you so much for listening, guys. Have a good night. Or good morning, whatever time you're listening to this episode. Peace. Did you enjoy that episode? If so, make sure you keep up with us on our Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, at Voices of Dembe. You can also email us at voicesofdembe@gmail.com or text us on WhatsApp +256 702 468512. Link will be in the bio for all our contact info, and stay tuned for more episodes coming to you every Wednesday at 9 Eastern Standard Time. It will be 4 p.m. for my people listening in Uganda. This is your host, Edith Nyanga, and as always, stay positive and let's always talk mental health and be aware. Peace.